Tongke doje shajer zonro jinja moto duje bonjomba zerja lombo davra jibe go shajer jabe shadongu zanza Dorjin janjin delo naro da mabamala juje gambo ba bamodra ba jawan rogomba kajo lama namje da jonsh Donen dene zero domje de lama labela ye jizo zon lo zayan den jamse ngalawan denre donjen de begele zo Dagi lo jizan ro vara zinja labdo zo jia lamdan ro vara zinja labdo zo nan ro vara zi vara zinja labdo zo Triba yi jizan ja vara zinja labdo zo Ganga denjen de varan jo Gaba me ba je me ba je ba me ba ta me ba wa me ban ro me Tade me dunje me drupanye je je ba zuba zanje manam je damba de la janzar de dunje zava la ma je je gozon do je zinanda da Dage julan bede dage damba don sunje je don ja jimban de bar zinje la do zo Namkatang nyambe simjin tamje je tondo dinde lana me bayang da bar zubu sanje je kompang rumbo je dobar sha. Di je de dambe je kanki zinde don nyamse lawang jiwo nyambe samba chanchon jo de semji ba tang. Chi nyimbe kunju da kulong manarbo go na sembalan char. Dela kang simbar zabe chune dene dambe chu Jikten Sumgön gombenze be dambe chu gongpa chik ba deres.
Cultivate a motivation thinking that may all sentient beings, limitless as space, attain the state of perfect and complete enlightenment. Think that for this purpose I'm going to listen to the Dharma and then engage in its practice. Such a motivation of bodhicitta is the unmistaken motivation for listening to the Dharma. And the Dharma we are listening to is the Buddha's single intent by Lord Jikten Sumgön.
Da jirtang dambe chu gongpa chik bande ngarang zo nke dambe chu Gong Chik ndala tani dalo ngarang zo ke chini chiya ke kawa zambo ji chungwa tela tani tsawa te ta Gong Chik tsawa ti tone yibya je te tani he huyo bari ndrewa te rinzin chudak nimanawa te yibya je yo bari ina yang Temin ke tan rewa tanda mambo je toni tsa rike huyo bare ten du da tren ten du jirtang da tsawa te kani mo husin bare tsawa te toni ina yang tan dala karchimbo nga heje teni tsor ngarang tsuke namja jundu Nyamlin la tsar djarne tene tandachi goya ke ne nga heje yore jirtan da sama nyamlin nango yore de dedang tene da dorji song jadangap chopandala tene ndreshe tanda ndrewa yungdar mangbo yore tene duso la soba de da ha ko go ya karchi monga he yore to so shugain
So that we were now able to give those teachings on the Gong Chik, the single intent of the Holy Dharma this year is really a great fortune, and they gave the commentary based on the root verses, and the commentary was mainly by Rinzin Chudak, and the commentary is called the like illumination of the sun, And so generally they also give a commentary based on several other commentaries. And actually we finished the root verses last Tuesday. However, there are just a few verses that I'm going to highlight, those verses that are really, we actually then put into practice, but in fact we have to put them actually all into practice. So I've given some commentary. There's a lot of commentary on those 150 Vajra statements, and I'm just going to highlight some of the most important ones.
Chirtang da sanje je ka dene tela jinjo kheba namji tenju da kantar sanje je ka de dene tenju nama du yaba dene ta ka da tenju da ta yongsu zo bande Gong Chik serendu andina na tsur du yongba tanda chadu yor. Ta Gong Chik ndela tusang gongsam jene dani tsama dani soso ke semgu juylo tsur jarne soso ke simto lama nyamni chik to tar goyo baris.
So what the Gong Chik consists of. So in general, there are the actual teachings of the Buddha, and then there are the commentaries composed by the scholars, the followers of the Buddha, and so those commentaries, then the Buddhist teachings are all contained in these commentaries, and then within the Gong Chik, all those Buddha's teachings and all the commentaries are complete. So therefore, if one listens to and reflects on and meditates on, practices the Gong Chik, so that one must apply it all to one's mind, bringing it all into a single essence when engaging in practice.
The nyamning kidney chigla turn deni nyamni nango the jimsing kangla serna jersey shawala ge junjong nang du sungba yindore junjong nang du garison yore shuna da ki yin che dungal sel dungal yin ser da dog yin so da nge 동하 그 나랑 동하 보진 건도와스 디 짐센에 때네 인라 동하 그때네 동하 와지게로와 손자 데 동하 세고리스 나얀도 나요스 데데 미션게 동하야 사고도 네 메잉게 동하 세고리스 짐센 강라세나 동하 데 강라 동하 보진 건도와스 나란도 Rangula pe lang ne tini yina simano rindwa tene dag yinji donghar yin ser dadu dag yinji pinde drup dewa yin ser da lu yin so da lu yin da yin la nge pimba da dewa drup go yori so jumsen kan sena ngarang ke tata ke kantar che nekap airport se de pata ko lunda tawala sona yang tene dewa drop gondwa sindi chi de dewa drop gondwa de yunde ten simjin thamche la yang de taw ko ne tene pin de drop go yore sona sumba yindo de ngarang zo ge che 담배 산지지 간도주 찍도 제로 담배주 공바직 반대 안랑서 그 셈토를 냠 슬링고 동조 인핀도 약지도 냠 슬링고요래
So bringing it all to a single essence when we engage in its practice is the reason why we practice the Gong Chik. Shantideva said in the Bodhicharya Vatara that I must dispel the suffering of others because others suffer just like I suffer myself. So basically, one takes oneself as an example, and just as I wish to be happy, I have to accomplish the happiness, the benefit of others. So I must use this body, which is just like a temporary loan that I have received, in order to practice virtue and bring about the happiness of others, sentient beings. So when we practice the Gong Chik, which is the essence of all the Buddhist teachings, then the purpose of practicing it is for the benefit of others.
Ta yimpin drone tene yimpin drop godung ke tsawa te kangre sena ngarang so neka dewa ta tharthok zobo sanje je gompang thobar dungkin hyata cha do yore tharthok zobo sanje je gompang thok go yoba yina tene yimpin ma drop na zobo sanje gompang te drya me pare randung drum ne tene khowan drop byong ko yore yindu drum ne yowa nyangelen de gompang drop yong ko yore nyangelen de hiba de nyang hiba de donga ke tongrin de sidu donga misak da saja de ta nyangelen de ba hyo yoroba de enza timder ke chuni ke tone timder ke chuni ke tone dane da yimpin ngarang so je tharto ke dewa de drobar sibala yimpin de drop go yores.
And so the main reason, the root of cultivating, bringing about the benefit of others, is that we all want to experience temporary happiness and attain ultimate enlightenment. And for this reason, if we do not accomplish the benefit of others, then perfect enlightenment cannot be attained. So if we only try to bring about our own benefit, what we are creating is samsara. If we are bringing about the benefit of others, what we are creating is the peace of nirvana. Nirvana literally means, so in Tibetan it's nyangde, and nyang means suffering or sorrow, and de means to transcend, so transcending suffering. So due to the nature of interdependent origination, if in order to achieve our own final happiness, we have to bring about the benefit of others.
Yimpin drone randon royuande ganda chade yore sena perna churang la meto ji yuna tene meto de la chomalo chode soso go tong yabayina tene meto de junun bonso to go mare meto den so matala te matabala tene soso ke meto de ke khado dang jala so bala lonsu ju ya rag mares o te tene churang ke te meto de la chode phalo ba yina te meto de ke khado the dang jala so ba so ke longju chogo yore te tabe je ke jumde tanda ke thone tene jumde kan ro tang tanda thone tene ngarang so ke yimpin dog go yu ba te cha de yore.
And so how is it that we cannot accomplish our own benefit if we do not accomplish the benefit of others? So for example, if you want to grow a flower and you instead of pouring the water into the flower, if you drink the water, then the flower won't grow for a long time, and then you will not be able to enjoy the flower's color and smell and so on. But if you pour the water into the flower, then you will be able to enjoy the flower's color and smell. So it is just like that, because of cause and effect, cause and result, that we have to accomplish the benefit of others.
Ta meto de la chode lo ba la simto le rewa la ta meto ke khado ta tala so ba long su chung do yo re tik de re ni pe cha ni meto de la tene sungchup chiya gando ba yore ni tere ta sumba de meto de la sungchup ganda chin chi gore se je tan de karchim boje cha de yore chu meto de la chu lo go wa hi tene yina ya chu cha lo ya ba na meto la te meto la phima so a de yin de ngaran so ge namba sanje bu chu de kandar sanje ju kompang to ba la yin du ro go yo ba ha ko 직 인도 줌도 요바데 니 다데 착진이 데 창산들 착진 숨바데 인도 간다지 드고레 세는데 다 추드바와에 저 드르처조 손에 라마콤 다라데 디 감보바 라소박 숭거요레 대숭바 인도 데니 ngaran so ku 추드 드르처하 고고요레 추 드르처하 고알라 다 산제 그 가데 하자 자침보리샤 롱드 장망보리샤 시 대랑 아랑 저기 인지게도 마소는 excuse 지사요레 당아 그때 장투사말 장망보 휴린도스 다 디니 마요네 띵주를 선노 당와에나 지 띵주 다 라드레인라만다 남장 남자 배 망보 요데 바리 다 대참아 장고나 장 살사 말이 tene yongsa mari san taratin sipare tin machopa ya ke marwa ta tene ma yone tene ta de tamchi gu ju nimbo jig de ya ba ta tambe chu gongba jig ban de cha de yore ta de ndi thola ta nga ko che nyamne che na che che ke mandang wa ke central go hom do 두초 게 만다마 센트럴 고먼도 다 텔라 제 냠네 지발라 다 투삼제 야보지 지토바이나 대간도 주 용수조 버게 냠네 거를 만디나 마창바 미바 차도요 바리
So then you pour the water into the flower with the hope that you will be able to enjoy its color and smell. So you want to enjoy that, and you also want to protect the flower. But then the important point is that how to properly protect it. So you already know that you have to pour water into the flower to make it grow. But if you pour hot water into the flower, then again you won't help the flower grow. So now, within Buddhism now we know that we want to attain enlightenment, and we attain enlightenment if we accomplish the benefit of others. So then that's one. And then secondly, we also want to benefit others. That's two, the second condition. And the third condition is to actually know how to benefit others. And Kyobpa had said that it's more important to know how to practice than to practice the dharma itself. So we have to know the proper way of practicing. So the Buddhist teachings may appear really vast, and there are so many scriptures, and so we might find that as to be an excuse for not being able to learn the teachings. We just may feel that it's just too much, you can't learn it. There's just so many different commentaries and different teachings that one might think that I just can't learn all of that. And also, there's nothing wrong with thinking that, but so the Gong Chik is the essence that contains all of these teachings. And if one practices just that, then one doesn't have to worry that one won't have enough time or enough, like a short enough life and so on, or too short life. So if one practices and studies the Gong Chik, then one will be able to really practice all of the Buddhist teachings, all of the different levels of the teachings without anything missing.
Ta Gong de la ya ta dong ta de drewa ramana mambori de mambori ta de le la bo ha ko to ya ka le kha bon do samsa yong si bare ten ta ne ta cha si bare yin de yin ta tu so la sang ta wa ne de ni ta Terende hyogo dinana gonji korang chom nang de dene chom dun yoba nang ke chom ri nang ke 간네 쳔보레 니레테 처신 나랑조 그치 냠니 지당 데 냠니 지당 히바당 데니 티토네 제 냠술랑나 데타바 간사데 술라 핑그리 삼바토니 데니 인디 좀 둠보난게 간네가 헤지 철렌도네 휴야 인스.
So there are also many commentaries on them and the Gong Chik, and so even here one might, it's possible that one might think that it's difficult to understand all of that, even all of that, just easily. So of course one thinks that way. So today I'm going to kind of summarize the essential points of those 7 sections in the Gong Chik and highlight the most important verses in each of the section, and I'm doing that based on the thought of which one would be of greatest benefit for people in terms of practice.
Teni te ndor dubat so magyu bung de yang chudong ga he je de pa sabjing jeba la yang mu ba jin yo re denra yun zang teni to so tham je yena da je yong ndrewa gang da jin ji go ti to ne tambo jungse je ngotu shu ge te indu teni jitin sum jung gombon de teni kantar gonglo dunchu tunga pardo yubare teni kutse ti reng la ta senang sangwa la suba ke sabchu hacha mambo tara ze nang yubare teni te nang ke ta tarang arang so dambechu gongba jikba hibande teni hajang ke ta che ndo nga tene ka tinju tamje nimbo kantar sanje ju gongba tsuri tol pa yong ba ji cha de yu zang tene ndela ta ndrewa ndamanda mambo yo banang ke tene ngarang chu namju ta ndrewa tra chi hu tra ke tene ndrewa ndaso yures
Yeah.
ni la ni srain do sang
Da cheshe kare.
mambo yora ni sang yora
Ani shung da deva.
ni la
Deva touches. This shishna sungna kare.
ya tene ta te ne ga ta pe na jinga dorji hira kun ze ya ba rewa dorshe ma she da ta ngusu yu yore de nan jin ke jinga ren chin chang chok kun ze ya ba ke rinzang ma she de ta ngusu yu ba re tene gonje lan rewa gargong ma she ne je yor de tanaken rewa je de ta ngusu ta ngarang su kun ji tu ko yo ma re jumse tu ko phonja la so ba ta ju so ko phonja la so ba la tine tene tarang ngarang su kun ngusu ji tu ko yo ma re tene hyamar tara yeba gen ze yaba ke yang gonje ngin rewa yo ba re tene te ana yin ke rinzi chura ge ze yaba
Shiba te kare.
gonjik serzi
Tisure.
hyamar yeba gen ze ate hyamar yeba
Se shira.
serzi
Ni ngaba ti chudarwa.
ngapa ta korang nge ma zon da sa
Ni chudarwa. Tanade.
rinzi chura gonjik ni man ha de rinzi chura ra
So before I do that, some Dhamma friends may be more interested in more elaborate, extensive understanding of the Gong Chik, and so just to introduce you to some of the works that have been composed on the Gong Chik. So first of all, Jikten Sumgön himself, he lived up to the year of 75, and throughout his lifetime he composed many different scriptures, profound dharmas of outer, inner, and secret aspects. And then, so the Gong Chik itself there was the essence of all of that is the essence of all of the sutras and the tantras and the commentaries, and constitutes really the path to attaining enlightenment. And so then there are many different commentaries that have been composed. And just to mention a few of the most well-known ones. First, there is a commentary written by Doji Sherab, and it's called Dorshema, and this one still is available, it still exists. And then there is one composed by Rinchen Changchub, and it's called the Ringchangma, and it also still exists. And then there is one Gong Chik commentary called the Gagoma, but this one actually is not available anymore. It has kind of disappeared as time has changed. And then there's one commentary by the fourth Sharmapa, which is called the Illumination of the Gong Chik. And then there is this one commentary we discussed now by Rinzin Chudak, which is called the Illumination of the Sun.
Teni da teana yinke daron da ningma shoni re teni telesoba ke teni ndewa tanda ga che yo bare de da gandar zo chi hyu da den dewa nde so re dan de so nan yang desa de yore darate chom de so ya so gorom dikdang de so la des chebar yong yore de inza denin rewa jan don rehela koron zar zogoro ta tena tonia chebar tanti soso durza ke kam dam ba la so ba da le da ka ba le tunang ji ha ko tham da tena ke chebar des yosi barwa.
And then there were also a few commentaries written by Nyingma masters, but these aforementioned ones are the most important ones. And so then these commentaries are presented in slightly different ways. So different, there's a slightly different order sometimes in a different order of sections and a different kind of order of explaining the various sections. And that is due to the specific disciples that these commentaries were meant for. So there are slight differences.
There are yin ke kama ba trupan jeba ro jing zai ya ba ke gong jing zhi qin tanda yo re zhi qin den da trupan jeba ni je re nga te si po ting ma do chuda jam so na ma ju dor jen je re ma ju dor je re ya an the ya bol jeba ra ma ju dor jeba tene tanda kan zai ga ba ke tene gon che gen rawa yores de son ji tam de ngu su yo de yora ta ta
and then there's also a famous commentary by the 8th Karma Bamikyo Dorje, who wrote a commentary on the Gong Chik called the Great Commentary on the Gong Chik. So that also still exists. And so it would be good if you would encounter these commentaries.
Tate indu teni kazang aran so hyudu de Gong Chik chom ko koram ra oina teni chom tambo de chungor ko chom cha de yorba. Teni ringzang man dinani teni chom tambo de tagum ju bu chom cha de yore. Yang lobjong na ni nangkin na to so ton hang una na ti chi de hyubain. Yina yang ta dara tagum ju bu chom shin de ban de nan do dorji song ni hyo yore. Tagum ju bu chom dorji song ni hyo yo ban de nan do ta jedan kar me che wa yo mar de ta je dorji song de konde chu rang sen nang zam se ban dan de dang teni jumje ke jik sambrang zo yin shiba dan deni cha de yore
Mare mare, Kyobpa ina yang tinga so som dupa rawa. Tini doji sung karare.
Tagum ju
Re ina yang tinang la nisho rawa. Ti ni koran.
Dorji song ni hyo yore zane. Tagum ju putsan.
Tini tinang na ti ni soche wara.
Da tinang
ti doji sung karare tini.
Dorji song tagum ju putsan na gra.
Tagum ju sung zom ra. Tini nang doji sung karare. Bana gyumde ge chesambe rang su yin siati doji sung angrang karare.
Dorji song angrang karare. Da te yabu gang ting ma da. Dorji song dara de wegana tina ne te ri nikhit konde chu rang senang zang shi ba de.
Singa ni kan ti driba nang shin alama yabu ma ra. Ti me na ko so shamba chire sang ge do.
Re. Te chu tagam chu putsan na yo.
Yo.
Tenen konde chu rang senang zam shi ba tenen tin yo. Dorji song ni hyo yor. Da dorji song ni hyo nang tenen juk song ba re da.
Jikten ni ba re.
Ni ba re da. Ti dambo de.
Konde kode juk kode ra.
Dambo de jor na kyon de. Dambo konde chu rang senang zam de jor na. Ni ba de ngai jin la.
Na ti ni ba de. Dorji song ni ba re.
Ale ni ba re. Aya.
Tini shama ti.
Jumde ki.
Somba de re. So the way we went through the different sections throughout this course is, so the first section here is the section on the vital points of the Dharma wheel. And so, for example, if you would read the Rinjangma commentary, that would actually begin with the vital points on the view, practice, and conduct. So I'm just mentioning that for those who are interested in studying this in more depth. And so this particular section of the view, meditation, and conduct itself consists of 20 Vajra statements. And so to highlight the two most important statements of this section, which in our book is section number 6. So section number 6 is the section on view, practice, and conduct. And the two most important statements is, the first one is Vajra statement number 2 in section 6, which says all phenomena included in samsara and nirvana are one's mind. And the second one is Vajra statement 3 in section 6, which says all phenomena are the embodiments of momentary thoughts.
Konde chugun rang senang zang shibande da tsek de rang thoni teni chanyamni jinro cho de ba ji cha de yo do tsek rang thoni nyamni jidang de namju ngarang so ke konde lakpu tojab se khowa shibade namdo madro ka tang nyangde shibade namdo dorson bene kap je ma to kunji ko thone chebar yo mares ta den za konde yermi de topala tene ngarang so ke nawa sem nawa ran sem de ta ha go go kar chimbo cha de yo re ta nawa ran sem yembade 간라지는 나와랑 선리 시반데 법정 장부를 보통은 용거 요러와 답지 그런 보통은 이나 냠린 그런 보통은 대지고나 되다 나바 근도 나와랑 선그 돌아 되니 삼노데 디토라 되니 창고 요래 진시티칼 띵고 요래스 계자 약부 투용나양 샘리 삼보통은 샘대야 소수가 샘리 삼보통은 계자 많이 바지 투여나 샘리 삼바톤의 대지 텀나 다 다른 가랑 쪽에 착친 그 남절 이해난 게 로직 기반데 냠린당 치미 바차용 거요레스 간스나 힘발라 차바미바 많이발라 다와미도 되니 로직 바차를 다 로직 기바데 코든다 그치 차당 글로 니든 드라이버 대야 공팔 당송아지로
So all phenomena are included in some all phenomena included in samsara and nirvana are one's mind. So one can actually just take these words and practice them, meditate on them. And so how we do that is, so normally also we say that samsara and nirvana are just like the back and the front of one's hand, of one's palm. And so samsara is when one is not liberated from thoughts, and nirvana is when one is liberated from thoughts. But from the perspective of the alaya consciousness, this all ground consciousness, there is no difference between them. So in this way, based on this understanding, one realizes the indivisibility of samsara and nirvana. And so for that, first of all, one has to know that appearances are one's own mind. And one knows that first through studying about this and really analyzing it. And then from a practical perspective, one must sustain mindfulness of the fact that appearances are one's own mind. And so if one is always mindful of that, then, for example, if someone says something nice, then you know that this is just mind, and it's my own mind that perceives it that way. And if someone says something unpleasant, then again, you would think that this is my own mind. According to the 4 yogas of mahamudra, this actually is no different than the practice of one taste, because you have no attachment to pleasant words and you have no aversion against negative words. So if there is no attachment and no aversion, if it's all the same, that is one taste. So it is the mind that is free of dualistic thoughts and thoughts of attachment and aversion.
Samsang aranzo pe line tandabin tini yang nawaran sen bala de samnatana des pink yoris dan da kandares perna soso ke samaji tereng samatesa sani yang desa tandachina tini nimanga hela sana khalajik sadena tambo sadu roa yoba samadela gapo yoba che tini ren te yangse sadu ti samadela yang te sandoba mi ba chan roanda sama korang mun jorsunga ke mari te ngarang chungone tene de semkutone ta chebar yong ba ta denda pe chungchung lengo yore pe chimbo Jikten sabon rawo lana tene donda de to thako mare pe hiba de donda to par sibichi derwa tene pe chungchung le tanaji ne jitang ya boyores.
Sometimes it's also helpful if you're take an example, think about various examples of how appearances, for example, are our own mind. For example, if you're eating a certain kind of food today, and then you're eating that same food tomorrow, and then you keep eating the same food every day for a few days, so then you will observe that the first day when you ate that first, it tasted really good and you really liked it. And then slowly as days went by, that your desire for this particular kind of food decreased increasingly. And in the end, you don't want to eat it anymore. So it is not that the food itself actually changed. It's exactly the same food, but your perception of it is different. So in this way, it's good to take like small, simple examples like that, because if we try to conceive of really profound, lofty examples, then it's hard to really understand the meaning in the end. And the point of examples is so that we understand their meaning.
Ta di odo jumre ke jik sambranzo yin sibanda ta namba sanje ba ke jiktin yanda ka tawa hibate jumre ka tawa chado yore. Jumre ka tawa ngarang su chame ke lingari de jumre le jumre hibanda yewa samadan tsendi paro ke che samno de mato nekam lower ke che jumre de la ngasu ke de sam ke donang ji ke yomare donang yong ke yomare di jumsin le tene lower to ngasu ke le mambo san ro yorwa ta de zan de jumre ke ji sambrang zo hibanda jirtang ni sanje jumdin de ke tara de the rank semne yonsun dorsung yan di donda dere rank semne yonsun dorki bande samba gewa la jorgo yori megewa ni chor o ten za ta ngarang zo ke namja jun de sem zamboji ngune tan semba zamboji je de ngarang zo ke jumde dendari dawo san ha ko ya de garchimbo jeri de tele jang namjun semba zambo che de na jumde rangsong cha son rang yin song song re ngarang zo chem rangsong labndo ba de da ba cha na den za sem zambo che de ang dambo re lu nga yi som nang ke yi je na da sem se je de jawo na yin cha de yo re namjun semba zambo che mala che yin je ge wa la ji su yang yin ge che thok ko sa jo pan jo tham je la ji su yang 다 된다 되게 곰시 차고 저때 가르침 버리 된자 아디 삼바랑조 히반다네 저랑 다다 깨직마 찍라 삼바 개와지나 딘데브 데와리스 깨직마 찍라 삼바 님파지나 딘데브 동아리스
And then for the next statement, all phenomena are the embodiments of momentary thoughts. So that is, according to the Buddhist view, the authentic worldly view is the view of karma, cause and effect. And so we all accept karma, we believe in karma, but often the way we understand it is we think about it in terms of between this and future lives, in a long term. But actually, what we do not pay attention to is the temporary, the momentary karma, the cause and effect in a momentary, moment by moment basis. We pay little attention to that. And then because of that, on a moment to moment basis, we accumulate a lot of karma. And so the Buddha said, completely tame your own mind, which means to turn away from non-virtue and turn one's mind toward virtue. And this really basically means to just have a good heart, a good state of mind on an ongoing basis. And of course, it is in general important to understand karma, but even more important is to have such a good heart, a good intention. Because if you have that, then just naturally you will observe all the kind of rules or laws of karma. So of body, speech, and mind, the mind is like the king. So therefore, a good heart is most important. And also, for example, to rejoice in the virtue of others, for example, to rejoice in their resources or enjoyments and so on. So, and it's important to habituate to this good intention, this good state of mind. And so then the momentary thoughts is what becomes manifested as karmic maturation. So if in one moment, in any given moment, your mind is in a virtuous state for just a moment, then that will result in happiness. And if the mind is in a negative state for a moment, then that will result in suffering.
남주 ngaranzo ke lejumdel samzon chen data shema sen sang dondu perna data be chando ho karpo jeina ta de ho de perna zorbo nda cha gona ho de yongsu zo bala nakza nda je gyana ta ho karpo de mi ba cha so jumde shiban de zam de rakpa hu to lo samno je cha da go ma cha hin cha wa samno ta na 저랑 효 깔보 자마 잔장 칼 낙자 또 저제만 티바이나 디 차히니 효의 코란데 효 깔보데 깔장 차 마차 차요 말와 이나 소 임바데서 거 깔보 다는 데요로와 데인자 당아랑서 그 잡고사데 효 깔보데 하장 그 깔장 왜냐를 고요나 낙사 중세 탱로 나 텔라 돈항데나 탱효도 제네 돈항데고 데인도 레줌데 시바 삼바 깨직 점나 직 삼방인 바지 지요나 람상 샤바지 뉴바지 단다 돈에 데니 셈데 자마 장장 왜냐고 준데 단 내가 될 차도 요레스
Dini thambo nasari sama napo chayore ikhana dawre.
Ta nga zo ke che zo go dikpa chen ni song le chen ro le labdu che lu nga yi so yong su zo ba dikpa chi che chi go an ro che. Teni nga we che ni song le che te ma to me che ba zo da ro che.
So for example, normally when we think about karma, we think about it in terms in the long run. So we think about it in terms of this life and future lives. So for example, it's like when you have a white sheet of paper, and so how we usually regard karma is like, I will only take birth in the lower realms if I'm completely unvirtuous with body, speech, and mind. So we see it in this extreme way. So it's like we think that only if the paper is completely filled with ink, only then it's no longer white paper. And so we think that only if we are completely evil, we will take birth in the lower realms. So that's a very coarse understanding. On a more subtle level, if we have this white paper and just a drop of ink falls on the white paper, on the one hand, you might think that it's already somewhat tainted now because it's not completely white anymore. On the other hand, for the most part, it's still white actually. And so, therefore, if we want to keep a completely white sheet of paper, then we have to be very careful about little details on a more subtle level, because one drop of ink then already makes it not be completely white anymore. So we want to be careful even about one drop of an ink, and not just think that only if the entire white paper is filled with ink, only then it's not white anymore. So similarly, when just a slightly negative thought arises for just a moment, even that we have to recognize and immediately regret and confess that. And in this way, we can kind of preserve our white sheet of paper.
That's samba zambo kechik zamla che toba na te tela nan chong che ma yo na ti ke la komdik tin ju te da karchimbores.
And so therefore even a moment of a good positive state of mind should not be minimized, but actually we have to take that and habituate that.
De nga chu de pen zuba gomdang to ne ya tenda rin do zuba gom sewande jin chung chung den zuba la pa gom no yong ba ina dini jin chenpo to na zuba gom ta ba sonza chung chung to so gar chenpo cha de dini jin chung chung de so lo che control tin da we yo de zuba de hyon ro de gom ro de dini jima jin chenpo dan che na da ko dini zuba gom to ya ji da halam misi pa da we cha ro wa da yin zang de nga rang so ga re na gom go ji de gar chenpo gom sa de chung chung ne ya gom go ji de gar chenpo jim re gar bu to
and also, for example, that applies to practicing patience. When we practice patience, and we first habituate to being patient when we encounter more subtle circumstances. So if one is able to habituate to being patient in those more minor instances, then eventually one will also be able to be patient when something big happens. So it's very important to really focus also on those minor instances, because if we get angry about small things and we lose our patience, then we can't habituate to patience. So we habituate to being angry about small things. And then later, if we encounter a big difficulty, then it's almost impossible to practice patience. So therefore, whatever it is, habituation is really most important, and habituation begins with the small things, the minor instances.
Tati oto tene topa chi tap mugu kona yin se.
Som trupan na re.
Darang re chom.
Topa.
Chi tap mugu kona.
Mugura.
Mugu. Da ngarang zo nyamli nangkin lakpar to chan drupa nyamli nangkin yina mugu gogo mugu tongdong wa da mi ba yina sinlap teni yong sejute yang yong ta me ba chado yore mugu shibande sinlap tamche jisake ye zo ji chado yore Te yin zang Jikten Sumgön ke pe lang yore. Lama te go ye ke dani jinji chad yore song. Te gangre tawe chad yore song. Teni gangre teni sa gang chap chuo de ma yonggo yo na gangre te hyogo yorwa. Ta te hyowa la teni nyema pogo yorwa. Zhu pogo yorwa. Teni ngarang su mugu seba te zhu na yi chad yore. Mugu la dontang teza mate ne samdrpa nyamli je na lugu domba lekpo sangdo yoba chade yore kansi na lugu toni ne wimpa la yogdo yore deya pe yapori nga toni nga jen zede yore deya yapori lu nga toni gewa yapo chonso ta yig toni yang je ndone driblen je yore deya yapori yapu nangki yakshu je gowa ina ta lama ke nyam toba je susu jula je go yorwa Nyan topa chewala ta mugute tene ta nenga tik tik rawo de chade yores chepar to rungung ka ju bandal la tene mugu seje te karchimbo chade yore te mugunda lamsang o ngal mugu godo sen betson rawo ji chene mugu che se ne tes kale khabo yo ho sarwa tena yenza dambo ne chi hinji ge lo jang ne ma sin jin tam je la ning ji xiu chen bo de jie je teni dan sim jin tam je la ning ji jie na de la job tong kin ji sun do si de teni san ji gun du ju ngo par din la ma tam ba te cha de yo re da de la teni rewa xiu ba si ba la teni su su ge che mu gu lam de chen bu to ne da go hon do sam ba da ten ra ge to ne sam no ya lo na pa ren yun do teni jinita lamen sintu pa zan ju mugu je to ba tada yong ko yore song do wa te zang mugu de kar chimbo cha de yores
And then another verse in this section is number 6. It is certain that the only means of cultivating realization is devotion. So, especially for any practitioner, and especially, for example, a retreatant, for them it is most important to cultivate devotion, because it is said that unless one cultivates fervent devotion, there is no way one will receive blessings. So in order to receive blessings, devotion is most important. It's like the foundation of receiving blessings. And Jikten Sumgön also gave an example of that. So he said that the Guru's 4 kayas is like a snow mountain. And if you want to melt that snow mountain to receive the water stream of blessings, you need the sun of devotion. So if we do not pay attention to that, even if you're on retreat, of course, when you're in retreat, you're keeping certain physical ways of practicing, being disciplined with your body, and that is also excellent. You're in an isolated place, and with your speech, you're observing silence, which is also excellent. So you're practicing virtue with body and speech, and with your mind, you're also doing various practices, which is also excellent. But what's the best practice really is what we need is to realize, to gain the Guru's experience and realization. And in order to do that, it's most essential to cultivate a genuine devotion. And so in order to cultivate that, and that's in general very important in the Drigung lineage, And so in order to do that, if we just think, I really want to have devotion, so that will be a little bit difficult. We also have to train our mind first. So first we have to train our mind in cultivating great compassion for all sentient beings. And then once great compassion has arisen, then we reflect, so who can help them, who can protect them? And then we realize it's the glorious Guru who is the embodiment of all the Buddhas. And so then we put our hope in the Guru and cultivate devotion to the Guru. And then when we habituate to that, then later by merely hearing the Guru's name, just naturally devotion will arise. So therefore devotion is very important.
Tene da ndorwa sotar kutsom. Ndorwa sotar kutsom de la dorji song jobje yorba. Di nang de naji song wen rewe nyang de topsa. Da te ndu naji song wen rewe nyang de top song ge yore den nga zo je da domba sobzang nga somje domba yorba dan duso tamchi chirtang ge done ji sonya le labo yo mare kain sa ngarang zo nyumong ba la kom ne chin da za ma yan ba jiwa mang bu ren do nyumong ba la kom sung de ngarang zo ha jang ke ka le kha bo yo re dane yin yang ngarang zo ke changma de song go na ka le kha bo yo na yang na re zamla dene nan chong ji ya yo ma res na re zam song ta ba na rewe nyang len de ba top to guri so ne jitin sung gung ke sanje je ka yibya we na dena song yong go re dene den za dan na je shi ban da ya je me che gan zang la song ma ta na ya ni ma jing na na du chu je zam la na je zam song ta ba na song du chu je nang yong zo song ma ta ba na je karma ga hir song ta na ya song sem de yo go yo song sam ya song sem de yo ba to ne dan da ji ji to ba na dene nda ke pin do be mesi ke te che zo glo kantar ta to sanje ke kompang to ya ge jol ro go yo za dene yang o nga cho je jirtang ke chimpa pho mo yi dene gang yang song mo go sam de na nan de chimpa pho mo la chu ran so ke te yin ji mo ji song hyo se ne them da o ge yo ma re de so so ke dewan do ba ji ba cha en za dene na re re cham song tom na be ya bo yo res.
And then in the third section on the Vinaya Pratimoksha, that consists of 18 Vajra statements. And Vajra statement number 9 says, one attains nirvana as a result of guarding a single vow. So there are many vows in the three vehicles of the Pratimoksha, Bodhisattva, and the Vajrayana, and it's not easy to keep those vows. It's not easy because we have habituated to the afflictive emotions, not only in this life, but for many lifetimes, and which is why it is very difficult to keep those vows. However, even though it is difficult to keep all of those vows, one should not minimize the effect of keeping a single vow. So therefore, Jikten Sumgön says that if you even just keep a single vow, the result is nirvana. And he said that on the basis of having analyzed really very carefully the Buddha's teachings. So if you're keeping one vow in your life, or even just for a day or an hour, or even if you can't keep it for an hour, for a few minutes, you have a wish to keep the vow. That's of great benefit. And that becomes the ultimate cause of attaining enlightenment. So we shouldn't think that I'm like a lay person and I don't have to keep those vows. But since you still want to be happy, it is still good to keep even just a single vow.
Ta de indu kantar ngarang zo janchok semke domba de zo zond jina deni dinen no sobjang ha chaman de yoris janchok sem de domba dinen na kandaben de yoris na janchok sem hiba de yin la pinsam ku san nore den za sotar kapso mige chupong kchram seren banande yig domba som yore dinande nu sem pangwa yin no sam pangwa de cha yong yore teni ta jancho sum domba son na teaching kapso jancho sum domba rang cha de yore teni sangha ga kapso simji nam la jampa pong yiba yin par jawe song se jampa de pang yawa yin na sangha ga dong yiba jong yong yore jancho ga sem de song de wa yin na za dong yiba de ke ni ba de jong ko mi za den sangha ga domba yang cha de yore denza 자적 semna teni sobjang ha sunga nduzang teni najik se de desam songde na teni songtana pe yabo yores.
And so then this single vow to be kept mainly is the Bodhisattva vow. And so that is because the Bodhisattva vow is really the essence of all the vows of Pratimoksha, Bodhisattva and Vajrayana vehicles. And that is because the essence of the Bodhisattva vow is a wish to benefit others. So for example, in the Pratimoksha, we abandon the 10 non-virtuous actions, and the most importantly, the non-virtuous action in the mind of having harmful thoughts is to be abandoned. So in abandoning harming others, that's actually related to the Bodhisattva vow. And then the Bodhisattva vow itself belongs to the Mahayana. And then in the Vajrayana, for example, in the 14 root downfalls of secret mantra, the fourth one is abandoning love for sentient beings. So if one keeps bodhicitta, then one will not lose or break this fourth Vajrayana samaya. So therefore it's also related to the Vajrayana samayas. So since bodhicitta therefore is the essence of the three kinds of vows, it would be good to make this one single vow that one guards.
Teni da lapa jansem ke tsomdere dela dorji son ni khetsab ye yorwa den topa chek salam maledus topa chek salam maledu ta toba je ke sana malu se kantar che susu jula nyam toba che yu na re mi na re ngarang zo ndi tambo che pen hyandon de ma nam kha da nyam be simjin ta dewa da din se no bandi ke tsek jing do wa ndi ke tsek ndel tin ne kulong te ta che yu na di kulong te ta sa tan lam tam ji yong salam yongsu zoba druzi ge jocha ro ko yore tena yin zang ngarang su ge che thomar ten da bo che mana ka da nyam be simjin tam ji dewa da din se wan da la Ndikapsung Katse Top Yang Tinhitim Butoni Soso King and Dunko Bahakona Yang Nyam the same gene and the Kayore. This Soson Donking on a young data which some not the Mune, the Sidon and the Yobaji, Jen the Ratomna, then Nimaje and de Sarchik Donko Yona. The Nimaje and Sarchik Doko Yona, then Sanje Compantoya, Satan Lango Yuntin Tamje, Topsi Jolan Royore. Then I around Soke. 니마르진한게 제 개와강 롬나야 톤총라고 당 톤총스나 온데 충충지 인낭라고 단다 샤마송 토니 데니 데 냠니난고 요리스.
And then in the section of the training of the Bodhisattvas, which is the fourth section, Vajra statement number 18 says, we maintain that one completely traverses all the stages and paths through a single realization. So we're not necessarily speaking about a realization, like having and not having a realization. For example, in the beginning of our practices, we recite this prayer, may all sentient beings, limitless space, have happiness and the causes of happiness and so forth. So we are cultivating this motivation, and this motivation is, which is this single realization here. This motivation is what becomes the cause of completely accomplishing all the bhumis and the paths. So the more we recite this prayer with mindfulness, so while we are reciting it, really bringing them to mind all of these sentient beings, and really reflect upon the meaning of these words, and then we keep doing that, then eventually one day, even if we just read it one time, then this one time will become the cause of attaining the state of enlightenment and all the bhumis on the paths. So in this way, even if it's just a small virtuous action like that, each and every day, we shouldn't minimize the effect of even a slight virtuous action, but practice it.
Oh yeah, that in the order, Konde Kunja Sayu Gewang Moso.
You will are
something on Yora. The Namjun Tesong Yori, Tom Tani la Jawani song. Then Tomark Javate, Jamdo the Simji Chada Yori, Jogasawa the Moa Chada Yori. Then Laparton Jikten Sumgön, Chunguyove Jang, Moa Sab song. That in the Mo and the Tetan Tarong Jingmo and the Nindin Zu song, the Ryans on Mo and the Bear Garchimbo. Mo and the Around to Geva de Drevete ya Golden Paya, Passe Monroya, Delosobake, Chichu Mambo Yore, Denzan, Shepherdon Jikten Sungungi Yipalang, Konde Kunja Sayu Gewango. Koa the Nyan and the Geva Tamjin Moto Songoyore. Then data which Indu, then around so Namju, Moa Koran Rimbo, Tumba Inari, Tung Tumba Inari, so Chiku, Semputoni. Mogor. Moa, Shipan Don Canesina, Jimbetonri, Jimba Zam Sekayumar, Pa Jin Tardu, Deni, Jin Yabate Churang La Pinto Hills, Serpent, Moa, the Jimba Nimara, De Chang Yorba, De Inza, Dening around so good Rajin, Namjung around to Moa Molanandana, Dad and Conde Tam, Jijis in Seki or in Jikten Sumgön Zebarida. Denza. Chaja Chimbo Tang, a Kunzup the Tondam Niga Song the Revuton Hoyore.
Chakia Chimbo.
That Chaja Chimbos in Tondan de Marwa.
Digi Chedumore.
Konde Niga Dusi, the Tondam, the Kunzup Niga, Gava Sama Dune, Moyongo Yoro.
Chakia Chimbo?
Tondam la di Chaja Chimbo.
Then it does it usually Mova Saps on the children Sumgön?
Jedang Chungi Jang Jingwan, the Nindin Zu Sonyora.
And usually Mova Saps and
chung yi la jang hwa sab song chung yi la jang hmu do sab song ke yo re the kantar song yo
Niga song da.
song ra
Then 23 is says the root of the virtue of all of samsara and nirvana is dedicated. And so when we practice this root of virtue, it is an activity of beginning, middle, and end. And so first, what's most important is first the motivation, and then the end, the dedication. Which is also why Sumgön said that the dedication is more profound than the main part practice. And then also he said that one should exert oneself in dedication. Because if we dedicate our roots of virtue, then those virtues will increase and they will not become destroyed. That there are many qualities, many benefits of dedicating our roots of virtue. So there's so when we are dedicating, it doesn't make a big difference if it's long or short, but most important is one state of mind when one dedicates, and dedication is basically something like an act of generosity. We are giving away our virtues, but it's not merely just giving something away. When we give away, we also think that may this benefit others. So that's the difference between giving away and dedicating. And so then there is this dedication prayer by Jikten Sumgön that we usually recite, where we dedicate all the roots of virtue accumulated by oneself and others in samsara and nirvana, and all the temporary roots of virtue and all the ultimate roots of virtue, such as mahamudra and so on.
다 상하 렌진 dombo chom nang de na dorji song ni hit sabje yora sunju sabje ni hit sabje ra ta de nang de na je ngarang so ji pe ren ba du ne yong zhe bin song Jikten ba re the nge chung go ka dang nam hiyo Jikten ba ni hit sabje de Jikten ma Rupa la chikter Rupa la go ma kale nyoren des mambu do te kale kabo sa ra ya Rupa go la yu sa go la yo le ja tambo sangha tin ba yin lang jwa yo ra tene wan dun ju le jin to ba yin ti kin jo ri ta sun jo la na jo je be jo wang kan to ba ma ji be dun khong mu ju ran zong na lan jo bu cho ga dun ba de ne ji be ran ba dun je ma 다 지별은 봐 돈을 용로이 송완데 값서 다 나랑 저거 남주 왕다티 마보혀 제버도 상하냠리 난크요레 대엔도 다다 진시 기분이 순송데 송만한 인도 라리sob데만한다 남주라데 셈라 샤고제데 가르침보레 nangwa la teni chapa nga se tang teni jingdo tamji thuk ten du ta ga khela nangwa la ri ba tes le la juri ga khela dra tamje nga so ko jute le la juri ta te nang ke karchi hyu de jingdo thuk yishi gro ba khar jun da karchim bo yin zang de khawar se bala namdo jin de namdo zangi kang jin yona yang namdo de jis khurma somba teni namdo de ha kwa zam se ne teni namjun tin hi tin ju de karchim bo yores.
And then next we are in Vajra, in the section of the observance of mantra awareness holders, Vajra statement number 5, that says the stage of cultivation is the absolute nature, or the generation stage is complete within oneself primordially. So we have received many empowerments and instructions and also engaged in the practice of the secret mantra. And so on this path of practice, mindfulness is very important. Like in the 37 practices, it says that one should wield the weapon of mindfulness. So for Vajrayana practice, to see appearances as the deities is very important, and to hear sounds as mantra, and to see all thoughts arising as the display of primordial awareness. And so for some people it's easier to see appearance as the deity, and for some it's easier to see sounds as mantra. But what's actually most important is to see all thoughts arising in the mind as the display of primordial awareness. And how to do that is to not follow whatever thoughts arise, positive or negative, and merely recognize them, and just to sustain, it's important to sustain this ongoing state of mindfulness.
Teni da ndi namjun doi kapso hine tang lam thong serbande nga kapso jiram da zoram chandu namjun ngarang so doi kapso sa nyar rondo chunglam kare sena rinhitin gore sunggo yore ande samsang tin tham da kale khapo yuba ina deni nga kapso deni pa la rang la ji ne deni dra tuen de nga la ji bala so ban da thoni hine cha de yore den de sol nin ti ji go ji de kar chimbo yores.
In the sutra path, we practice shamatha and vipassana, and in the tantric path we practice generation and completion. And so if one practices according to the sutra path, where it is said that we have to be mindful in whatever we do, whether we are like eating or sitting or walking and standing and so on, in whatever we do, we should be mindful. So if that is sometimes difficult, then one can also use the practices of the secret mantra, such as the visualization of the deity or the focus on the sound of mantra, which can then also become a practice of shamatha. So it's important to make an effort in that.
Teni andala nga andala kondri chiba la yang samsang susorang ke danandun teni soso ken don yung bandal soso ka patin hitin to su yogang soso chibo den che newe bandao tanda che pena hindong raw hyala de teni tanda teni nga de yang nimbo ke yang ne teni soso ka tela pa tin hitin tanda chindana teni yabo yores.
For example, if one focuses on the sound, it is good if one then habituates to that and forms kind of a habit of this focus. So when you're reciting the mantra, sometimes you're reciting the mantra and you're being mindful of that. And also sometimes you're all by yourself in an isolated place, such as in the forest and so on. And then you sometimes can chant the mantra in a beautiful melody and be mindful of that.
Then Megla Kharanze, the La Khargo Shibande, Samsa Gale Kapoyor, you Samson Zoli, Jetan Gale Kapoyor, the Namjung Azoka de Layang, Comdiciadoa, then the Nankatimba Jilla Tadu, Nankatimba la Teba Danyam de La Carigus of Tandos, Tomboni de la Pazi Donando. Then he Yinda Jalanda J. Unaya, La Carigus of Tandos. Yana Chunang la J. Zuni Jauna, de la Caris of Tandos. Susu draw and over ten Damboni flat carries of Dando, draw tit on about Tang Yodu. Then the range, then now a lara, so Chaya de la Pinto Caporis.
So generally it's very difficult to really see all appearances as the deity. And so that's also one thing that we have to habituate to. For example, one way to do that is to just kind of whatever you see, you kind of ask yourself, like, what deity does this resemble? For example, when you look at the clouds, what deity does this cloud resemble? Or when you see any kind of object, what deity does it resemble? Or when you see a reflection in water, what deity does it resemble? So if you always think in this way, then you habituate yourself to appearances to be the deity.
Tene tinto to hiba the Samsung Aranzo Zubo Tangche Lega let and rabbit, Tini Kupjakalama, me so de Teni me Abomado soon, the Decalapache, me Suda Samak, this unknown did throw a Decalapanya by Yatabaina. Teni Dick Tona Jang de Teni Ta Kadarche Tinto Tamde Light talks the light talk hibanda Gandar Hiwa Chujuka Chad Yoroa, Teni Drayanza. Rimjiang ya lojang rayong securities.
And then for the training in all arising thoughts to be the mind of the deity. For example, sometimes when you're very tired and you just lie down on the bed and you rest, then there's this thought in your mind that I'm resting. So then you can just meditate within this thought of this feeling of resting. And so this is how you can also train your mind, in the mind being the mind of the deity, which is actually the Dharmakaya. So this is also one way of gradually training in the mind.
Yeah. Da dio de chungar ne du ju som deres. Chungar ne du som de la dorj song sumjen doa. Dena chukun hisam babji ne lo tins.
Kambodi.
Jirasai. Oh yeah. Dan de tik tik chade yore tik tik se da Gong Chik ke wo na mi na jan ning bon da wot. Chukun hisam babji ne lo. Da chukun hisam babji ne lo tin se de mangbo je ke lamsang dondan din bala yang je he jan ro yore. Tumba ni tuba da trawa sen. De ja andu Gong Chik ngune ke tindon de rim do me po jimsin kan re khatsan he nangkha nindi ke topa sin jik song so ngune ran de kan pem mesi del de ke chenpo je yar jang gu do den za nin tu nangkha nindi ke topa si de nin tu hyowa cho jik ba chan de ni gare chan ro go re chukyin ki sa pa je ne lo ti se ba da nyam de je jiang me de wan ro dang je gan yang den ju cho je me de ba de ta ba ma re is.
Then in the first section, the vital points of the Dharma wheel, Vajra statement number 1, all the teachings of the Buddha reveal the original state of the fundamental nature. So that actually is said to be really the essence, the quintessence of this text, the single intention. And so many, when they explain this verse, immediately go in a direction of emptiness, explaining this to mean this fundamental nature as emptiness, the state that is free from conceptual elaboration. But actually, this is not really the true essence of the Gong Chik. The other day, in a previous verse, we said that. And there is the merging of the two skies in the state of a Shravaka, a hera, which they perceive as the supreme state of peace. And so from that perspective, it may seem that this original state of the fundamental nature may refer to as a state of nothing whatsoever, but this is not what it is.
다 가래 고르 세나 축근 히사 밥진nel로 tin 시바데게 히 센드 축근 히 센드 동반이 동단된바 밥진nel로 tin 코르 밥라오데 가래레 센드 페나 남카데 동바란 yin 좀신네 틴이 틴더 초고요레 틴드난 더 초발레 틴네 틴이 마 차와 용 초고요레 차와 마 용와레 틴네 사이게 돌아야 로도 잔도 게메도라서 바타 초고요레 다 대인도 팀들 돈이 돈의 준대니 당 송도 연대래 대인자 당 말한 속에 휴탐지 다 가르서 그 예도만에 찾아 진봉고 내록 대답을 이나양 팀들 고관게 된다 임바 대 임바 대 팀들 고관게 임바 배는 팀 메토드를 닝지본도 세반데 다마당 카도당 이앱도서 철총도 닝지보 시바도 철종용바 데코랑게 팀들임바 다 데다브 돈이 도드 팀들 빵마송와 팀들 라탑제 진도 돈이 하고도 다 데다브데 넘버 산제바게 되니 그 다라 등하랑서 골사다 효사 노사 강영 미버게 랑과차도 요르스.
So the original state of the fundamental nature. So this original state here, that refers to the nature of emptiness or the ultimate truth. And the fundamental nature is that even though things are empty, phenomena are empty like space, in the sky, clouds may arise, may appear. And from the clouds, rain may fall. And the rain may cause crops to grow in a field. So that is interdependence. So it is also said when one realizes emptiness becomes like the karma is like the radiance of emptiness. So even though all phenomena are primordially the state of mahamudra, they are also interdependent. For example, if you have a flower and you think it's a beautiful flower, then you label it beautiful because of its petals and color and shape and so on. So that's the interdependence of the flower. When one realizes emptiness, and then one does not abandon interdependent origination, and when one analyzes interdependent origination, one understands emptiness. And so that is that special quality of the Buddha's teachings, is that because of this, we do not fall, the Buddhist path does not fall into like a side track, or one does not go onto a corrupt path because of that.
다디오 더 팀들 손데레 데라 도지송 종안도와 디난 그 라브렌 탐지 튠지 냠린 구소 단데 바저
튠기남
종마 바드린도 도지송 종아 바 바저 인사랭 말레 우도던 따히네 말라르
종아 양겨서
라브렌 탐지 튠지 냠린 구 네. 집이야. 뭐야? 다 람렌 탐제 튠제 냠는 그 세전데 그 차자 진봉 어딘 시반데 땡려. 얘는 롱 가지고 그다 투몽 많이 밖에 디 냠는 그런 바 차자 진봉 어딘데 차가 요래. 데 차자 진봉 어딘데 튠제는 냠는 고송 거 요래. 지딘 송거 튠제는 차자 진봉 어딘 창고 요래 송. 대 창 철거 돌다 만보 휴나 만보 요리데 이나양다 더 두바이나 제 다라 말한 소그지 잠진지 장조그 셈 요거도와 다 디는 잠로 요인데 잠로 난다나 이게 그 말한 소그 라마라 먹을라서 반다서 창용고 요래 되네 다 소소 그 두자그 예당 클라 냠니 가래나 대 셈 그때 돈에 곰도 들아 차용고 요라 되네 다 Dio do ngaranzo daratin jongho wa chi te ta hi gong la hi bana yi den du che namjin jor ngu jisom sere jor ngu jisom jowa simji tamba ngu ji mimi tamba nang na chaja chimbo chang yore jongho wa tamba sin ta tinana chani win namjin nyamni nang go yores.
Then in the section of the vital points of dependent origination, statement 14 says one practices all stages of the path in a single session. So that is related to the fivefold path of mahamudra, which is the practice that we mainly practice according to the Drigung lineage. And Jikten Sumgön also said that this fivefold path also has to be complete within a single practice session. And so, of course, there's much to be elaborated upon on this point, but in brief, first we must have love and compassion, bodhicitta. Then we are taking refuge, and so we cultivate guru devotion, and then we are visualizing the Yidam deity, and we're practicing mahamudra, and then dedication. And so generally when we practice, the practice must have like a beginning, main part, and the conclusion. And so first the beginning is the motivation of bodhicitta, and the main part is to practice without concepts, to practice mahamudra. And then the end, the conclusion, is the dedication.
Da tini tsomdu ban dev sanje sai tsomdela nange di dorju song gobadri indo hizar sinse sanje jawachis. Hizar sanje jawachis. Gobadri. Oh yeah.
Katsutok dinala.
Ah.
Ditsom dinala katsutok.
Ditsom jubdun yoro. Jubdun yoro dis. Jubdun samara. Jongar. Jong. Hibzar se sanji jawasis. Ta de ndu hibz kan sitse ga ta sanje ga jawasi ga yoro yusonre. Ta de ndu ngaran so hob de kala che 참아다 상제리 세네 되는 신당 베지 dimbaje dan teke chichung kolo ko ala so baje gongona tamboni deskale khapo yoza teka je garchimbo khako goade mojeke chuchu jengna ni karma ngala leka ya poche le na te sanje ka sawaris yina phinyak yang na mojeke karma ngana ni karma jigla machila nu machi bayana te sanje jawaris ta mek de mon se bayana ta che ge machi thong de ko ngama anda di wi yong ko ganang tin ne che ke te gawa ke namjorin do te korang sanje jawaris mo gagra siranjin ko jewanda wo te palin to do te mayen ba che anda khado je ke meto je ke ko zobda je ke machi ke semla 기보조도한테 산적 자와리스 다 데라 소바긴 힙즈 칸의 시체가 자와 야보 진도가 참아 산적 자와 차도요레 다 디토는 얌니다 공 프로토바이나 나란소 상하 단항 글람바 시바데 다 단항 시바데 디카는 용거 요자 남중 나란소 그 릭베차 토소 라사노 마본 코르네 단다지 토바이나 상하 냠린 그 돈이 단항 제와라 핀바 첸데 소소 냠니 진킨 그 왕그 제바이나야 삼노 장소라 축침보 동터나 딘 소소 그 sem칸라 데보요바 sem칸라 데보요바레 데네 데그 루칸라 투데나 핀도 발라서 버게 팀더고 왕그 핀용침보요자 덴데 karchim보요레스.
Then in the last section of the resultant state of Buddhahood, Vajra statement 9 says the Buddha performs the activities with anything existing within the objects of knowledge. Everything that is done in the field of knowable things is done by Buddha. And so one may think that one has to see everyone as Buddha and see everyone like possessing major and minor marks and turning the wheel of dharma and so on. So to visualize it in this way is difficult in the beginning, but what's important to understand here is that a person, within 1 hour, if that person does something good for 5 minutes, then that is an activity of a Buddha. Or if within 5 minutes, then that person does not harm someone for 1 minute, that's an activity of a Buddha. Or, for example, a dog who sees its owner wags with his tail, which is a sign of joy and love for the owner, that's an activity of the Buddha. Or you see a flower that can generate a feeling of beauty in the mind of someone when he sees the flower's shape. That's an activity of the Buddha. So basically anything good, any good activity and thought is an activity of a Buddha. And so especially when we practice according to the Vajrayana path, it's a path of a pure view. And if you always bring to mind like the good aspects of something, then that will also help us cultivate such a pure view. And so also in general, whatever practice we do, and whatever we do, if we keep these good aspects of things in our mind, then our mind will naturally feel more happy. And also because of interdependence, it will also have a positive effect on our body. So that's very important.
Teni tampichu gongpa chikpa la lobjong kapso kable jamne lobjong jang yo bande ten tara pa tanravane he pa tel kapso ten norwa tan trwa kang song yo wa inayang teni lama lapla tang teni Teana yinke dorjin chi do tsamak dundo tene Kyobpa bugins tene da jetang kazan kya humani hudebana yinke tene jabjengar chinumbo chik sigidin sa neza chimbonda tabla tene chu za chimbo gonjek tana hiya ke sungwa te Jabjengar Chirumbo Chila, Druben Chuba, Johnson, San, Be Gabo Jibo Tang, Deni Juro Tamchela, that is about Hua Gogab Chumate, Be Jibo Song, Deninda, Kazan Gang Hubana Yigan, the Tunjinda, Zo, Dening, so Director Christina K, Gadentine, Deninda, the Hiewanda. Karazambo Sumari in Taban Tuji Chekiotene, Atara Gabjori Bailey, Jezo Tamak, Tunjarana, the Tema in Betini, Juninki Tamala, and in Taban
Tuji. So this completes the teachings on the Gong Chik to put a single intent. And so now that after having studied and now really studied hard the Gong Chik and now being able to teach it to you, if there have been any mistakes or confusions, then I confess that to the Guru and the exalted Idam deity, and also to the Vajra siblings. And so I mentioned that before, that this is a very special place, is the outer, or like the main seat of Garchen Rinpoche outside of Tibet. It's a very precious place, and I had the opportunity to teach a very precious dharma, the Gong Chik, and since this fulfills also Garchen Rinpoche's wish, I'm very happy about that, and I'm also very happy that I had the opportunity to teach it to you, the Dharma friends. And also that this could be organized and come together is due to Christina's kindness. Christina's our director, and I feel very fortunate, and I would like to thank her from the bottom of my heart. And then also I would like to thank everyone else, the translator, Billy, everyone else who helped, everyone who listened to the teachings. Thank you from the bottom of my heart.
This is Christina, and I just wanted to thank Khenpo Tenzin from the bottom of my heart for your really just huge effort to keep this sustained, really insightful commentary on one of the most important texts of our lineage, a real centerpiece. And it's not common to be able to get teachings on the Gong Chik. And so we are just so grateful for your commitment to really wanting to educate us in great detail and depth and insight. And so thank you so much for doing this teaching series. And also thank you, Ina, for your really wonderful translation, really accurate and very clear, and helps us understand the teachings. So we wouldn't understand the teachings without you. So thank you so much, really, for your sustained efforts. And I will make offerings to you from the center, and from also students online that have sent in offerings for the Gong Chik teaching, and to Ina. And then I have a few announcements, so please stay tuned. We're not getting close with the kata offerings anymore because we've got to keep our distance because of COVID. But I wanted to also just remind people of all the amazing Dharma offerings that Khenpo Tenzin will be giving coming up starting tomorrow with our Amitabha retreat. He'll be giving a commentary in the morning while Garchen Rinpoche does the self-empowerment, self-initiation. And then we have a upcoming new retreat on the 21 Praises to Tara on September 11th, 12th, and 13th. And Khenpo Tenzin will be giving commentary on each of the 21 praises so we can better understand what we are chanting. And then, of course, His Eminence Garchen Rinpoche will give teachings on Tara, and then we will be led in the 21 Praises chant by Mercedes Beleda, which will be really a wonderful retreat. We're excited about that. And then upon His Eminence Garchen Rinpoche's request to Khenpo Tenzin, Rinpoche's asked Khenpo to teach, give commentary on the prayer for excellent conduct, the King of Aspiration prayer. And there are evidently many different commentaries, and Garchen Rinpoche has a particular favorite commentary that he would like Khenpo to teach on. So Khenpo has kindly agreed. This will be his next big teaching series, the third one of this year. And that will begin on September 15th, and it will be the same schedule every Tuesday and Thursday from 10 to 12 and 2 to 4, and that will finish on October 29th. So please tune in for that incredible commentary on that most profound prayer. And then Khenpo Tenzin will be leading a Vipassana retreat from October 2nd to 4th, 3-day Vipassana retreat. So we hope you can all attend that online as well. And then, of course, please continue to tune in to his Sunday Dharma talks and guided meditations when that is happening. Check our schedule. We've got a lot of events on our weekends, so be sure to check the schedule to see when he'll be doing those Dharma talks. So, yes, just a heartfelt thank you to you very much for being here and making this a real place of Dharma learning. And we're so happy that you can all tune in from all over the world so easily now, because Billy has just done a fantastic job with getting our internet and our live stream perfected in high resolution now and great audio quality. So thank you, Billy. And so we hope we'll see you all tomorrow morning. 9 a.m. for the start of the Amitabha retreat. Okay, everyone, take care. Be well. Thank you.
Thank you. Dedication, right? O sunam de tamje zebani tovani be danan bazene jega nanja balan dobai zibun zolen dova Yambar Pave Jadaran Jimbadan Kundo Zambo Deyan Deje Deda Ginje Jiza Dalo Ze Givan Deda Damje Rabdo Pama Zimje Damje Dedan Danger Nindro Damje Dada Dongwar Jo Janjo Zamba Ganda Zajo Ba Deda Gunje Malan Reba Jo Dadan Grunde Dan Jeje Dusunda Zabadan Yube Give Zavandi Dadan Zumje Damje Nirda Lana Mebar Yanda Bar Zoba Sanju Rumboje Tobar George. Can someone just read the English page 18? This is the long dedication. Yes. Long ones 18 to 21. Yes.
Page 18 in the Yellow Prayer Book. Glorious, holy, venerable, precious, kind, root and lineage gurus, divine assembly of yidams, assemblies of Buddhas and Bodhisattvas, heroes and heroines, yogini and her assembly of dakinis. All of you dwelling in the 10 directions, please heed me. By the power of this vast root of virtue, may I benefit all beings through my body, speech, and mind. May the afflictions of attachment, hatred, ignorance, pride, and jealousy not arise in my mind. May thoughts of fame, reputation, respect, honor, and concern for this life not arise for even a moment. May my mind stream be moistened by loving kindness, compassion, and bodhicitta, and may I become a spiritual master with good qualities equal to the infinity of space. May I gain the supreme attainment of mahamudra in this very life. At the moment of death, may I not experience the suffering of being abruptly severed from this life. May I not suffer a terrible death. May I not die confused by wrong views. May I not experience an untimely death. May I die joyfully and happily in the great luminosity of the mind itself and in the crystal clarity of Dharmata. May I, in any case, gain the supreme attainment of mahamudra at the time of death or in the bardo. Then the long life prayers in English, page 22. For this realm encircled by snow-covered mountains, you are the source of all benefit and happiness. Tenzin Gyatso, Lord Chenrezig, may you remain steadfast until the end of samsara. Embodiment of the 3 jewels, great being who upholds and increases the teachings of the Shakya lion. Supreme are your activities of guiding others with your perfect deeds. May you, the precious Guru who accomplishes everything spontaneously, live long. Holder of the teachings of Lord Jikten, great Lord of the 3 jewels, through the power of your peerless compassion and the holy Dharma's peace and light, you bring relief to beings. May your life be long. The one known in the noble land as Arya Deva emanated into the Gar clan of eastern Tibet as Chudingpa, the heart son of Jikten Gompo. May the life of glorious Garchen remain steadfast for 100 eons. 28. May the teachings of the great Drigung Ratna Shri, Master of Interdependence, Omniscient Lord of Dharma, who has seen all knowable things, be upheld until the end of cyclic existence through study, practice, hearing, contemplation, and meditation. And then your 1,000 arms are the 1,000 wheel-turning kings. Your 1,000 eyes are the 1,000 Buddhas of this fortunate aeon. Your love is boundless like space. I supplicate to the Bodhisattva Chenrezig.
English.
On page 30. By this virtue may I swiftly accomplish Lord Chenrezig, and may I bring all beings without exception to that state.
Chancho Zenjo Renpo Je Ma Je Ban Nan Je Jor Je Je Ba Nyan Ba Me Ba Ya Gon Gon Dan Be Ba Jo.
May Bodhicitta, the precious and supreme mind, arise in whom it has not yet arisen. Where it has arisen, may it not decline, but ever increase higher and higher.
May every being alien with disease be freed at once from every malady. May all sickness that afflicts the living be instantly and permanently healed. Thank you very much.